श्रीपाद श्रीवल्लभत्वं सदैव श्रीदत्तास्मान् पाहि देवाधिदेव भावग्राह्य क्लेशहारिं सुकीर्ते घोरात् कष्टात् उद्धरास्मान् नमस्ते। त्वं नो माता त्वं पिता प्तोऽधिपस्त्वं त्राता योग क्षेमकृत् सद्गुरुस्त्वं त्वं सर्वस्वं नो प्रभो विश्वमूर्ते घोरात् कष्टात् उद्धरास्मान् नमस्ते। पापं तापं व्याधिमादिं च दैन्यं भीतिं क्लेशं त्वं हराशुत्वदन्यम् त्रातारन्नो वीक्ष ईशास्त्रजूर्ते घोरात् कष्टात् उद्धरास्मान् नमस्ते। नान्यस्त्राता न पिता न भर्ता त्वत्तो देव त्वं शरण्योकहर्ता कुर्वात्रेयानुग्रहं पूर्णराते घोरात् कष्टात् उद्धरास्मान् नमस्ते। धर्मे प्रीतिं सन्मतिं देवभक्तिं सत्सङ्गाप्तिं देहि भुक्तिं च मुक्तिं भावासक्तिं चाखिलानन्दमूर्ते घोरात् कष्टात् उद्धरास्मान् नमस्ते। श्लोकपञ्चकमेतद्यो लोकमङ्गलवर्धनम् प्रपठेन्नियतो भक्त्या श्रीदत्तप्रियो भवेत् श्रीदत्तप्रियो भवेत् श्रीदत्तप्रियो भवेत् श्रीदत्तप्रियो भवेत्। श्रीपादराजं शरणं प्रपद्ये। श्रीपाद श्रीवल्लभ चरितामृतम् Chapter 33. Sri Sreepada personally performed the wedding of Ramani and Narasimha Raya. I took the permission of Sri Sreepada. Sri Sreepada instructed us, "My dear children, you go from here to Sri Pithikapur. My auspicious blessing will be with you as an accompanying protection." In compliance with the command of Sri Mahaguru, myself and Sri Gupta reached the bank of the river Krishna on the other side. We saw the footprints of Sri Charana on a rock. Sri Sreepada used to stand on this rock and offer Surya Namaskara, that is obeisance to Lord Sun. We felt wonder and happiness on seeing the footprints of Sri Charana on that rock. We reached Panchadeva Pahad village. We were following a footpath formed in a jowar field. The owner of that field cordially invited us. He opened sweet fruits to eat and gave sweet buttermilk to drink. The name of that cultivator was Narasimha Raya. He built a house in his field. He requested us to rest in his house and accept his cordiality. We agreed. He was describing the glory of the sportive place of Sri Charana. He narrated, "Sir, my name is Narasimha Raya. I was very weak and timid in my childhood. I lost my parents during my childhood. I was brought up in my maternal uncle's house. My aunt was very termagant. I had to do lot of manual labor in their house. There was much work in the farm. My uncle had a daughter named Ramani. She was more beautiful than all the girls in the houses of our relations in that town. Besides that, she was a mass of all good qualities. She was having devotion to God. She used to worship Shri Krishna as her chosen deity. She could not tolerate when my aunt was providing me stale food. For me, food was too little and courteous treatment was nil. Work and stress were more. Our Ramani used to offer me sweet fruits and warm food without being seen by her mother. If my aunt were to see it, Ramani along with me was also getting blows and rebukes from her. Even though my uncle was good, he was an incompetent one who could not protest to his wife. Sometimes my maternal aunt used to get me beaten by strong young men belonging to other families of Kapu caste. Actually, I was weak. By those blows, I became much more weak. I was also very timid. Therefore, the neighbors also used to consider me as an incapable fellow. I became subordinate even to those who were younger to me. As our Ramani was very beautiful, the Kapu youths in our town were having an intense desire to marry her. I was not having any property or cash. My body was very weak. Above all, I was timid. My uncle was wealthy and had property. Though good-natured, he was greedy. My maternal aunt, though a shrew, was easily deceived, being inflated under the influence of flattery. Our Ramani was praying to Lord Shri Krishna that I should be her husband under any circumstances. In the meanwhile, a fraudulent sannyasi came to our town. A powerful propaganda was carried on that he worships Mother Kaali and predicts about past, future and present. In fact, he was having some powers. His forecasts to the citizens were proving to be cent% true. He brought our aunt under his undue influence through his deceitful words. Arrangements were made for him to conduct worship of Kali in our house. He said that the clay idol of Krishna worshipped by our Ramani daily should be thrown out of the house. My maternal aunt agreed. Our Ramani wept bitterly, but in vain. That fake sannyasi began the worship. Many fowls were sacrificed. The room of worship was all drenched with blood and presented a horrible appearance. Some human skulls and some more strange articles for the worship at burial ground were kept in the house. He made all the inmates believe that after the conclusion of worship, rich hidden treasures would be uncovered, and with them the whole family becomes rich. This fraudulent sannyasi also knew the art of inveigling by charms. He hatched a plot to rob the chastity of Ramani with that art. Due to the weird methods of worship performed by him, the health of our Ramani deteriorated. She was behaving in a queer way. She was not her former self. She used to drink blood at dead of night. She was only drinking blood instead of food. The fake sannyasi was convincingly telling them that Mother Kaali entered into her, and for that reason she was drinking blood, and that she would become a normal person on the exit of Mother Kaali, and unless blood oblation was offered, Kaali would not be pacified and the hidden treasures would not be available. In this way, everything was very horrid. The food receptacles were suddenly falling into the well. Human skeletons were seen in the house here and there. At midnight, strange figures appeared, making terrific sounds. All our house looked like a burial ground. Our maternal uncle was not bold enough to ask the fraudulent ascetic to leave the house. Our maternal aunt was hoping to get hidden treasures if the troubles were endured for few days. The whole situation was very confusing and perplexing. During one night, that fake sannyasi reached for our Ramani. He felt that his desire would be satisfied as she yielded to the influence of his magical charm. When he came near her, our Ramani cried aloud and in a frightening manner hit on his head with an iron article. She did not know why she acted like that. The fraudulent ascetic also did not understand why the person under his control behaved so suddenly in such a fashion. The dedicated nature of Sri Sreepada in rescuing the distressed. After daybreak, a poor Brahmin beggar came to our house. Our Ramani came out of the house and told him that there were a large number of ghosts, spirits, and devils, and that he may receive them as alms if he was so willing. That Brahmin agreed to that. His gloomy face was placid and brilliant. In the meantime, our maternal uncle came out. He also said, "The conditions in our house are in a pell-mell state. If you want, you can receive those evil forces creating those circumstances as a gift." My maternal aunt also joined them. She said, "There is nothing in our house. If you want, you can accept the poverty in our house." I was also present in the house. I said, "Swami, there is a silver talisman with me coming from the time of my forefathers. If you are willing, you can accept it." He agreed, and I gave the silver talisman as bhiksha. In the meanwhile, the bogus ascetic brought some human skulls from the burial ground. He jeeringly said, "You poor Brahmin, if you want, you can take these human skulls as bhiksha." He accepted. Suddenly, a divine effulgence appeared in our house. That Brahmin visitor disappeared. Due to that divine effulgence, that fraudulent ascetic experienced burning sensation all over his body. A ray from that effulgence entered into our Ramani. She became healthy. My maternal aunt had an attack of paralysis and she lost her speech. My maternal uncle developed violent shivering. I received extreme courage. I felt as if some new strength entered into my body, and I felt that I was very strong. Blood streamed out of the mouth of the magician, and all his faculties were lost. The divine effulgence wore human form. That divine glorious form belonged to the refuge of all the distressed, the embodiment of all gods and goddesses, the one without beginning, middle, or end, Sri Sreepada Srivallabha. Sri Charana said like this: in reality, Mother Kaali destroys the demonical forces like lust and anger hidden in the seeker. But she does not want fowls, goats, and others. Demonical forces of the Pranamaya Jagat, that is the world of life force, assume the form of Kalika and demand various types of sacrifices. Real Kalika Mata possesses auspicious qualities like love, peace, and compassion. Devilish forces, ghosts, spirits, and demonical forces in the Pranamaya Jagat style themselves as particular deities and exhibit evil arts. Evil magicians worship them and cause untold harm to the world. Note that the manes of ghosts in the Pranamaya Jagat also have the capacity to assume the forms of deities. But the divine powers will not exist in such divine forms. An assurance was given that I will incarnate whenever Dharma touches bottommost level. This incarnation of Sripada Srivallabha came in consonance with that assurance. This incarnation is invested with infinite potencies like love, peace, mercy, and compassion. Our house was completely cleansed. The bogus sannyasi was driven out. From the grace of Sri Sri Charana, the paralysis of our maternal aunt abated. Sri Sreepada personally blessed with his own hands and conducted my marriage with Ramani. Then his age actually was 12 years only. He was in Pithikapuram at that time. He was in this Panchadeva Pahad with his subtle sportive body. These were the blessed akshatas, that is the turmeric rice, he granted us that day. He instructed us that Gupta and Shankara Bhatta would visit this place in future, and some of those blessed turmeric rice should be given to them. Oh, what a great, sportive, playful incarnation! Victory! Victory to Sri Sreepada Srivallabha! Here ends the 33rd chapter of Sripada Srivallabha Charitaamritham.
वेदान्तवेद्यं वरयोगिरूपं जगत्प्रकाशं सुरलोकपूज्यं वेदान्तवेद्यं वरयोगिरूपं जगत्प्रकाशं सुरलोकपूज्यम् इष्टार्थसिद्धिं करुणाकरेशम् इष्टार्थसिद्धिं करुणाकरेशं श्रीपादराजं शरणं प्रपद्ये श्रीपादराजं शरणं प्रपद्ये योगीशरूपं परमात्मवेशं योगीशरूपं परमात्मवेशं सदानुरागं सहकाररूपं योगीशरूपं परमात्मवेशं सदानुरागं सहकाररूपं वरप्रसादं विबुधैकसेव्यं वरप्रसादं विबुधैकसेव्यं श्रीपादराजं शरणं प्रपद्ये श्रीपादराजं शरणं प्रपद्ये काषायवस्त्रं करदण्डधारिणं कमण्डलुं पद्मकरेण शङ्खं काषायवस्त्रं करदण्डधारिणं कमण्डलुं पद्मकरेण शङ्खं चक्रं गदाभूषितभूषणाढ्यं चक्रं गदाभूषितभूषणाढ्यं श्रीपादराजं शरणं प्रपद्ये श्रीपादराजं शरणं प्रपद्ये भूलोकसारं भुवनैकनाथं भूलोकसारं भुवनैकनाथं नाकाधीनाथं नरलोकनाथं नाकाधीनाथं नरलोकनाथं कृष्णावतारं करुणाकटाक्षं कृष्णावतारं करुणाकटाक्षं श्रीपादराजं शरणं प्रपद्ये श्रीपादराजं शरणं प्रपद्ये लोकाभिरामं गुणभूषणाढ्यं तेजस्विनं श्रेष्ठमुनिं वरेण्यं लोकाभिरामं गुणभूषणाढ्यं तेजस्विनं श्रेष्ठमुनिं वरेण्यं समस्तदुःखादिभयापहर्तं श्रीपादराजं शरणं प्रपद्ये श्रीपादराजं शरणं प्रपद्ये कृष्णातटस्थं परमपवित्रं श्रीपाद श्रीवल्लभयोगमूर्तिं कृष्णातटस्थं परमपवित्रं श्रीपाद श्रीवल्लभयोगमूर्तिं सर्वैर्जनैश्चिन्तितकल्पवृक्षं सर्वैर्जनैश्चिन्तितकल्पवृक्षं मोक्षं श्रीपादराजं शरणं प्रपद्ये श्रीपादराजं शरणं प्रपद्ये मन्त्राधिराजं यतिराजपूज्यं त्रैलोक्यनाथं जनसेव्यनाथं मन्त्राधिराजं यतिराजपूज्यं त्रैलोक्यनाथं जनसेव्यनाथम् आनन्दचित्तम् अखिलात्मतेजम् आनन्दचित्तम् अखिलात्मतेजं श्रीपादराजं शरणं प्रपद्ये श्रीपादराजं शरणं प्रपद्ये मन्त्रानुगम्यं च महोर्मितेजं महत्प्रकाशं चिरशान्तिमूर्तिं मन्त्रानुगम्यं च महोर्मितेजं महत्प्रकाशं चिरशान्तिमूर्तिं त्रैलोक्यचित्तम् अखिलात्मतेजं त्रैलोक्यचित्तम् अखिलात्मतेजं श्रीपादराजं शरणं प्रपद्ये श्रीपादराजं शरणं प्रपद्ये श्रीपादराजं शरणं प्रपद्ये श्रीपादराजं शरणं प्रपद्ये श्रीपादाष्टकमिदं पुण्यं प्रातरुत्थाय यः पठेत् कोटिजन्मकृतं पापं स्मरणेन विनश्यति कोटिजन्मकृतं पापं स्मरणेन विनश्यति